Good day, everyone. So, for today, welcome to Japan, the land of the rising sun. So, we are done with the African literature, and now let's travel to Japan. So, we're going to find out and we're going to study rather Japanese literature. So, let's find out their customs, beliefs, and traditions. And also, we're going to talk about Japanese literature. So, what do Japanese folk tales tell us about Japan? So, are you ready to meet Japanese people? So, to start, let us read first some Japanese folklore forms, okay? So, I hope I could pronounce it well. First, we have Mukashi Banashi. So, it is their tale of long ago. Next, Namida Banashi. It is their sad stories. Okay, next, Ongaishi Banashi. It is their stories of repaying kindness. Okay, so those are some of Japanese folklore terms. So early Japanese literature was greatly inspired by cultural connection with China. So their literature is written in classical Chinese as well as Indian literature. So like for example, Japanese folklore is heavily influenced by both Shintoism and Buddhism. So those two are Japan's primary religions. And the tales and stories of Japanese people often involve supernatural, and the characters or situations are either humorous or peculiar. So when we say peculiar, it is something strange or unusual. So the situation or the characters in their tales or stories are always humorous and peculiar. Okay? So for today, let us discuss one of the Japanese folk tale, the Happy Mirror, and let's find out how this folk tale provides insight into the values of Japanese. Okay? And let's begin the story. So many years ago, there lived a father, a mother, and their dear little girl. So there was not a happier family in all the islands of Japan. Okay? One day, they took their little daughter to the temple when she was 30 days old, and she wore a long kimono as all babies do. So kimono here is or rather literally means clothing in Japanese. And her third birthday was a happy day. When that happened, she was no longer a baby daughter. She was their little girl who was growing up fast. And by the time she was 7, she started helping her parents in many ways. One day, messenger brought exciting news. The emperor had sent for the father and he had to go to Tokyo at once. And since there aren't any way of transportation, her father needs to walk going to Tokyo. And it was a long way off and the roads were rough. The father would have to walk every step of the way. And the little girl was glad that her father was going to Tokyo because she knew that there are a lot of stories that her father will tell her, and she knew also that she will receive some presents. The days seemed very long for the mother and the little girl. Many times each day, they would pray for the good father. And one morning, the little girl saw someone coming from the mountains, and It was her father. So she is very happy and she received a beautiful doll and a box full of cakes. So he brought out a square wooden box and it was tied with a gaily colored ribbon. So he handed it to his wife saying, "And this is for you, my dear." So the wife took the box and opened it carefully. And there she saw a mirror. So she had never seen so lovely present and she was glad. She looked in the mirror and said, "I see someone looking at me in this round thing. She is very lovely." All right. So the husband laughed at his wife. The wife was surprised and said, "Why, the lady I see has a dress just like mine. She seems to be talking to me." Her husband laughed but said nothing, and then he explained that all ladies in Tokyo have them. And if you bring a smiling face in the mirror, you will see smiling face. And if you are cross, you will see an angry face. So the wife thanked her husband for the lovely gift and she promised to always bring a happy face to the mirror. Often, the mother would take out the box and look inside, and she was surprised. Soon, she grew tired of looking in the box and she put it away. She would only open the box and look at her face once a year. She decided to save the lovely gift for the little girl when she grew up. The years went by, the little girl turned into a woman and had no longer played dolls. Instead, each day, she helped her mother about the house. Her father saw that she was growing more like her mother, and her hair was the same, her eyes and mouth, and she was the very image of her mother. One day the mother called her daughter and said, "My daughter, I have something to give to you. So once each year you are to look into it." So her mother took the wooden box and looked at the mirror. And the little girl saw her face in the mirror and she said to her mother, "It looks like you, mother, when you were young." So the mother said, "Be sure to smile when you look at me and I will smile back at you." And from that day on, the little girl, or rather the good daughter, kept the box near her and once a year she would open it. And she never forgot to bring smile to the little box, and every time it always smiles back at her. That's the end of the folktale Happy Mirror, and it gives us a positive values and signifies how we look unto ourselves. So if you bring a smiling face in the mirror, you will see a smiling face. In short, everything we do reflect to what kind of person we are. Okay? So that's the end of our lesson for today. Again, this is Teacher Mitch, your English teacher. So bye everyone. Have a nice day.